From a pool deck flip on the world's largest cruise ship
The footage shows the guest teetering on the railing before tumbling off.
to a passenger jumping off a ship over casino debt. Here are the most stupid passengers jumping off cruise ships. 6. Woman falls overboard and survives 90 minutes in the dark. This one is terrifying because it actually had a miracle ending. In 2012, Sarah Kirby was celebrating her 30th birthday on a Caribbean cruise aboard Carnival Destiny. After a night of drinking, she said she was leaning back on a stateroom balcony when she suddenly fell into the ocean. And this happened in the middle of the night.
Falling overboard on a cruise ship in the middle of the night.
I felt hopeless. Helpless and hopeless. It's pitch black.
She tried to swim after the ship, but the ship kept moving farther away. At that point, all she could do was watch it sail off while she stayed alone in the black water.
I kept praying to God, please don't let me die out here. Please don't let something eat me like a shark.
Her travel group pleaded with the ship to turn around and search for her, and after around 90 minutes, she was finally found alive.
And she was found after 90 minutes.
5. Passenger goes off pool deck. On Sunday, July 27, a guest on Royal Caribbean's Icon of the Seas had a strange and, honestly, ridiculously close call near the hideaway pool on Deck 15. This is the world's largest cruise ship, so you would think people would be extra careful near the edges. But according to the report, the video showed the guest lurking near the railing before falling off.
According to cruise officials, the passenger seen in the video falling over the infinity pool's glass railing was attempting to retrieve his sunglasses.
Now, thankfully, this did not turn into a full man overboard disaster. A lower walkway and a safety barrier stopped the fall, so the guest stayed on the same deck, just in a restricted area.
The video reveals that there is actually another glass wall and railing on the other side of the pool, which seemingly saved the clumsy passenger from a worse fate and was clearly smart idiot-proofing on Royal Caribbean's part.
That is probably the luckiest possible ending to a very dumb decision. And somehow, it gets worse. 4. Cruise passenger jumps overboard after a fight with wife. Next up is a much more serious one from Star Breeze, operated by Windstar Cruises. On Wednesday, January 21, 2026, Doug Parker reported that a 66-year-old American man jumped from the ship while it was sailing in French Polynesia after an argument with his wife.
A cruise passenger is missing after jumping overboard from a ship in the South Pacific. A 66-year-old American man jumped off of Star Breeze, operated by Windstar Cruises, early Sunday while the ship was sailing in French Polynesia. Local reports say the incident followed an argument with his wife.
The ship was in the South Pacific, and once the man went overboard, the crew started an immediate search. French Navy patrol boats later joined in, but the man was not found. The investigation was still ongoing, and the ship eventually continued its itinerary. This was reported as the second man overboard incident of 2026, which is already a scary number for that early in the year. Because once someone goes into the open sea, the ship cannot just stop like a car. That brings us to another tragic case. 3. Cruise passenger jumps from ship. This one happened aboard Carnival Splendor off the coast of Australia. On Monday, April 20, 2026, the report said 2 passengers had died in separate incidents just hours apart. One of them was a man who went overboard early on April 18. According to authorities, he was later presumed dead after a huge 16-hour air and sea search failed to find him.
Our team has completed the review of our man overboard cameras, and sadly we have been able to confirm the person has gone overboard. Our Fleet Operations Center in Miami and the appropriate authorities have been already notified.
Carnival said CCTV footage showed the guest climbing onto the rail and jumping overboard. That detail makes the whole thing even more chilling, because this was not someone accidentally slipping while walking around.
Overnight, a man in his 70s climbed over the safety railing and jumped overboard. A spokesperson for Carnival Cruise Line says it's reviewed CCTV to confirm the passenger's actions.
The footage reportedly showed him climbing up first. Just hours earlier, a 67-year-old woman also died while snorkeling at a port stop on Moreton Island off Queensland.
A 67-year-old woman from Tasmania goes snorkeling, and suddenly she's found unresponsive in the water. Crew members rush in, emergency teams try everything, yet they can't bring her back.
The two deaths were not believed to be connected, but it still made the crews feel incredibly dark. The ship later returned to Sydney, where an investigation began. Before we go to the final two, subscribe if you like cruise stories that sound fake but somehow actually happened, because this list is getting more unbelievable by the minute. 2. Cruise passenger jumps from balcony. At number 2, we have a fatal case from Carnival Liberty. On Thursday, May 14, 2026, reports stated a passenger died after going overboard during a cruise in the Bahamas.
A passenger has died after going overboard from Carnival Liberty during a cruise in the Bahamas. According to Carnival Cruise Line, the man apparently climbed over his stateroom balcony and jumped into the water.
Carnival Cruise Line said the man apparently climbed over his stateroom balcony and jumped into the water while the ship was sailing from Celebration Key to Nassau on Wednesday night. Crew members reacted quickly. They launched a search and rescue operation, threw a life ring into the water, and eventually recovered the guest. But sadly, he did not survive the jump.
Crew members rushed into action within moments, launching an intense search and rescue operation as passengers watched in silence, praying for good news. For a brief moment, hope spread across the ship when rescue teams recovered him from the water. But despite desperate life-saving efforts from medical staff, he could not be revived.
The report also mentioned that this came just weeks after a Norwegian breakaway crew member jumped off the ship near Cape Cod. It was described as the 6th man overboard incident of 2026.
That the crew member was seen on a security camera falling off the Norwegian breakaway, plunging into the water about 12 miles off the Cape Cod town of Wellfleet.
But the number one moment is stupid in a completely different way. 1. Passenger jumps off cruise ship to avoid paying. On Wednesday, September 10, 2025, a Royal Caribbean passenger was facing federal charges after jumping overboard in San Juan, Puerto Rico, allegedly to avoid more than $16,000 in gambling debt.
A man who went overboard on a cruise ship over the weekend allegedly jumped ship to avoid paying a $16,000 gambling debt. Jay Gonzalez Diaz began his Royal Caribbean cruise on August 31st.
The passenger, Jay Gonzalez Diaz, reportedly left from Rhapsody of the Seas during debarkation in San Juan. But he did not exactly vanish into the sunset. He was quickly picked up by a jet ski boat and arrested near the Capitol building. And the details only got stranger. Officials said he had almost $15,000 in cash, multiple cell phones, and 5 different IDs, including one that belonged to his incarcerated brother. He was later charged with failing to report large amounts of cash while entering a U.S. territory and was later released on bail. Whether it is debt, drama, or just showing off near a pool, jumping off a cruise ship is never a smart move. And somehow, these passengers proved that in the wildest ways possible.